Hello, it's me, Andrine, a Jewish American priestess, and today I'm bringing you a Hanukkah reading. If it isn't already Hanukkah where you are, it's coming up pretty soon. And if it's already Hanukkah, it goes on for 8 whole days. So we're going to do a reading with dreidels today. Dreidels are, as you may or may not know, the small top that we use during Hanukkah to play a little tiny gambling game, mostly with chocolate and or nuts or some kind of gelt, some kind of coins, usually made out of chocolate. And each dreidel has 4 letters on it, 4 sides. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can see these 4 dreidels. And the letters that are on the dreidels are Nun, Gimel, He, and Shin. And they represent a phrase, Nes Gadol Haya Sham, which translates roughly to a great miracle happened here. Or there in Israel. It has a different letter because it's a great miracle happened here. But we are not in Israel, where I am right now, so we use Nes Gadol Haya Sham. So I'm going to give you a choice today. You can choose one of these 4 dreidels. Maybe I'll go ahead and spin them for you to see how they land, and then we'll do a reading based on the dreidel that you chose and some Hebrunes. So I'll spin them up, and you can see this is the one that is dark blue with the 4 letters on it. It's got a narrower bottom than top, and I will spin it for you. We've got dreidel number 2 is this small wooden dreidel with the gold letters on it. Dreidel number 3 is this purple and pink dreidel that was made by one of my children, and it's very well balanced. And the dreidel number 4 is this again wooden dreidel that's decorated with a bunch of different fillagree. I'll have to zoom out so you can see how they landed. Dreidel number 1 landed with the letter Nun. Dreidel number 2 landed with the Gimel. Dreidel number 3 landed also with the Gimel. And dreidel number 4 landed with the He. So choose your dreidel, 1, 2, 3, or 4, and I'll put the timestamps down below, and you can meet me in your reading, and we'll do a reading there. See you soon. Welcome, dreidel number 1. This is your reading. This letter started out on the top, and when I spun it, it also came up. It's the letter Nun, and it stands for the word Nes. Nes is the word that means miracle. So maybe you're expecting a miracle this week. Maybe you're expecting a miracle at this time of year. The miracle of the 8 days of oil is what it refers to, that time in ancient times where, when rededicating the temple, they were only able to locate 1 carafe of oil, and that 1 carafe lasted for a full 8 days until they were able to consecrate more oil for the Ner Tamid, the eternal light that burns in the temple. So miracles are happening for you here. This is what you've chosen. You've chosen a miracle. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And you may or may not have noticed that I also shined up my altar bowl, which is really the first time I've done that. It seemed really appropriate in a way of cleansing for the solstice. So it's super shiny today, bringing in all the light. Let's do a reading with the Hebrunes, and we're going to read about your miracle today. Let's see, how many should we do? Let's do a handful and see how they land. Maybe I'll move this off to the side. Do a handful, see how they land, and we'll see. If we need to take more, we'll take more. I'm going to have to back that out some more. There we go. And let's first take out all the ones that landed face down. And we'll read what's left here. So we're reading about a miracle for you today. And starting at the very top of your reading, we have the letter Dalet. And Dalet is a doorway. There's some kind of gateway that's opening for you right now. Something is coming into being. Something is being born for you. So we have to walk through this doorway. We're maybe in a liminal space where we're standing in that doorway. And it's time to step through. And maybe the miracle is that your doorway is opening up. Maybe it's coming through this solstice time or through the Gregorian New Year time. But whatever the case is, there's some kind of birth canal that's opening up this delta of Venus. And we need to remain humble as we walk through. Nun, as we may know, is the letter that represents Ne'aman, meaning humble as well. So even though that's a miracle, humility is necessary. Dal also means poor, so there's something about humility involved in the Dalet as well. So there's a doorway and a humbleness that's coming with that doorway as we step through into the next iteration, whatever that might be. So remember to find your humility as you step through the door. Next in your reading we have the letter Vav. Vav is a letter about connection. It's literally the word "and" in Hebrew. It's a connecting between the heavens and the earth. You can see the letter Yud at the top and this long stem or root burrowing into the ground. So we're standing here trying to connect. We're connecting with ourselves, certainly, with the divine, absolutely, and possibly with another person. Sometimes I see the Vav as a connecting letter between two people, but it's always a connection between oneself and the divine. It's the number 6 in Gematria, and so it has this sensation of the 6th day of creation, where the divine created humans and other animals in order to have some kind of spiritual connection with another entity. So maybe we're, as we step through that doorway with the Dalet, connecting with the divine, connecting with another person. When I sat with these letters in correspondence to the tarot cards, I saw that the Vav, for me at least, connected to the Lover's card. So there is something maybe with love connecting to yourself, again, connecting to the divine, and or connecting to another person. So there may be some love that's is part of the miracle that's showing up for you today as well. Right beneath that is we have the letter Beit. Beit is about home. It's the letter that means house, Bait. So we're trying to find our place in our home, feeling at home where we are, and maybe taking a rest. Beit is connected with the day of Shabbat in the Sefer Yetzirah. So we have this sensation of staying at home, maybe resting, connecting, and being comfortable in our home, being comfortable where we live. And I extrapolate that to being comfortable in our own bodies or in our world, wherever it is that we're dwelling. If we see ourselves as dwelling in a house, fantastic. If we see ourselves as dwelling in our bodies, that's perfect. And the world as a whole is where we all live. So there's some sense of home here, some sense of remaining home, being at rest, and finding our way into a place of choosing life. Beit is the binary transformation in the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, between life and death. So it has this feeling of like the tree of life that's connected to it. Beit is also the first letter of Torah, Bereshit, in the beginning. So maybe a new beginning that's coming in as well. Walking through that doorway, making that connection, finding ourselves comfortable and at home wherever it is we are. So Beit is here. Maybe that's part of your miracle. Smack in the center of our bowl here, we have the Yud. And Yud is that seed. It's that first point, that letter that starts all the other letters. You'll see the Yud in every single other letter in the reading. So it's that one point, that initial spark, that seed that is planted from which everything can grow. It's the first letter of the divine name, the Yud He Vav He, which means to become, or becoming, the becoming one, the one who is constantly renewing and becoming themselves, that one who is that they are. So Yud is here in the center, saying the center of everything is that one point, like that spark from which the Big Bang explodes, that one point into which the divine contracted themselves to make space for all of creation, the big miracle, the Big Bang. So Yud centers our reading. There is a potential for new growth that's coming in this dark time of the solstice and of the Hanukkah season, where we're planting a seed, and the miracle is that it will grow. I love that that's in the center, right smack in the center of this bowl. Off to the left, we have the letter Lamed, and Lamed is the letter that represents the heart-mind, Lev, the heart-mind. Back in the ancient times, the heart and the mind were not considered separate, that we think with our heart and we feel with our mind as well. And I love that the Lamed looks like a sprout coming up at the top and a root going down at the bottom, with this earth in the center, sort of crosswise. It's the letter that begins both the words limud v'lamed, which is about learning and teaching. So it's about discernment in some level. We take in learning and we turn around and we teach what's resonant. And Lamed represents the intestines in the body. So similarly, if we take in nourishment, our intestines are able to discern what is useful and what is waste and needs to be discarded. So there's this miracle also of the inner knowing, the knowing of our lev, our heart mind, that being able to discern what is valuable and what needs to be discarded. And that will hold another additional miracle for you in this time of seed planting. When you plant the seed, a sprout will come up, roots will go down, and you'll know what is useful to take in and keep and what you need to release. And way down at the bottom of our reading, we have the letter Ayin. And Ayin represents an eye. It looks a little bit like two eyeballs and an eye stalk going back toward the optic nerve in the brain. And if you hold it sideways, it looks a little bit like eye makeup as well. So being able to see, and being able to see our way forward. Ayin is the number 70 in Gematria. So it has the sense of ultimate completion. The number 7 is the days of creation, and 10 times 7 is this ultimate manifestation of creation, of something finishing. The 7 days of creation come to an end, and that's a completion. So Ayin has this ultimate level of completion that comes with it. There's a lot of 70s that show up in Torah. There are 70 elders that helped Moses in the desert, in the wilderness time. There are 70 souls that went down to Egypt with Jacob's family, 70 seats in the Sanhedrin. So there's this sense of large groups of people coming together to work things out, to delegate and pass out responsibility to multiple people. So maybe that is also part of your miracle. That and or some ultimate completion of a thing, some big completions coming in. And I remember Ayin is represented by the foundation of laughter in the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, the version that I read. And I love that the laughter is here at the bottom, that underneath it all, once some things come to finality, we have the ability to laugh about how things turned out, even if it's been a challenge, even if we've had to have our humility at this time. Let me think if there's anything else I want to say about any of these letters in particular. The Ayin, I think there's something else. It's affiliated with and connected to the tribe of Dan, which is, Dan means judgment. So maybe there's some judgment that comes with this finality, whatever it might be. And it's connected to the month of Tevet, which is the month after Kislev. So we're in Kislev right now. Hanukkah starts in Kislev, and then it goes into Tevet. So something is coming in the future here, some completion. It's certainly the end of the year. The Gregorian year happens right at the time of Tevet. And there's that sense of judgment, finality, completion. So again, being able to see, knowing that you're watched over by the divine, and knowing that once things come to an end, there will be laughter at the end of it. So those of you who chose the dreidel with the nun on it, this miracle that's coming in, a doorway through which you are ready to pass. Some sort of connection, maybe lovers, maybe, maybe a connection with a lover and or the divine, finding your love for your own self and finding your place in your home, finding your place of rest and connection at the same time here, way at the top of the reading. Smack in the center, that one point of the Yud, the first letter of the divine name, the Yud He Vav He, and how there's a seed that will be planted and grow. And we can see that seed growing up here on the left with the Lamed and rooting itself down into the ground with that discernment, that knowledge, that heart-mind of what is worthy of learning and teaching and what do we need to discard and let go. And then we get to our Ayin at the bottom, being watched over by the divine, being able to see our way forward, knowing that when this completion comes to an end, there will be laughter, and it's possibly coming soon, as Tevet is coming in just a week or so. So I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope that it was useful for you. I'm going to spin your dreidel one more time and see which letter comes up now that we're at the end of the reading, and maybe we'll get one more message for you. And it's Nun again, so miracle's coming in. Remember to remain humble through this time. And hope you have a beautiful Hanukkah, and I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Hello, dreidel number 2. Those of you who chose the small wooden dreidel with the gold leaf on it. When we first met the dreidels, this one had the letter Gimel at the top. And Gimel is the letter that begins the word Gadol. In that phrase, Nes Gadol Haya Sham, Gadol means great. So the greatness is what we're looking at for you today. How is greatness showing up in your life with the Gadol, the great miracle that happens here and or there? And what is great? What is great that's coming in today? We're going to pull out some Hebrunes. We'll set the dreidel off to the side. I'm going to shuffle these up and grab a handful, toss them down, and see what our message is today for the greatness that's coming for you at this Hanukkah time. Okay, let's pull out all those that ended up face down in our reading. And what do we have left? We have just 4 of them left. Let's see what we have. And maybe we'll add more if need be. Well, at the top, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. At the top, what we have is the letter Mem. And Mem is the mother letter of water. I'll pull that up so you can see it. Mem looks like this. It is a womb space. We're in this time of gestation. And it's the letter that begins the word Mayim, Hayim, meaning waters of life. It's the mother letter of water, and it is the time of year that we are in the Northern Hemisphere, which is the winter. It's the wet time of the year. And I think of it in terms of that amniotic fluid that is bathing any being that's being gestated inside of a womb. So we're in this time of maybe waiting and gestating and growing and being nourished by water, letting the waters pour down on us and just letting them run into the ground and nourish our roots. That's the greatness that's coming right now, is this water time and the mother letter of water. It's about cleansing and transformation through water. The word mikvah, which means a ritual bath, begins with mem. And it's the number 40 in Gematria, so it does refer to that 40 weeks of gestation in the human body. But all kinds of other gestations too. The 40 years in the wilderness that the Hebrews traveled, the 40 days of rain during Noah's Ark voyage, and the 40 days on the mountain of Mount Sinai when Moses went up to receive Torah. So there's a lot of waiting that goes with the mem. a lot of time to contemplate and gestate. Mem also begins the word Miriam, the name Miriam, who is Moses' sister, and Moshe as well, but I think of Miriam really being affiliated with water, as she was the one who helped Moses in the basket in the river when he was being hidden. And she guided that basket in a salvation way toward the Pharaoh's daughter. And then also the waters that were split in the Reed Sea as liberation came to Egypt, to the people of the Israel tribe as they left Egypt. And then Miriam is said to have a magic well that followed her throughout the wilderness, that she was always able to find water for the people. So much water, water which comes with emotion, a greatness of water, the great, great waters that are coming down from the sky and bathing us and nourishing us right now. I think of Mem as being affiliated with the High Priestess card in Tarot. So there's a greatness there, a greatness of spirit that comes with that greatness of water. And that's the Gadol, the greatness of the water. The next letter down in our reading was the Lamed. And the Lamed is the letter that begins the word Lev, meaning heart, mind. It's about aspiration, reaching up with hope, teaching and learning, limud velamed, and just really having some ability to discern, having a greatness of heart and spirit, and being able to discern what is important to learn and teach. How are we digesting what we take in and absorbing information, whether that be educationally or spiritually or just nutritionally. Lamed represents the intestines in the body. And I love that it looks a little bit like intestines, where it's got food coming down and going across and then maybe excreting down out of the bottom once we've taken what we need. Lamed is the letter that is affiliated with the tribe of Ephraim, who was one of Joseph's sons, and he was the one who was elevated above his brother. So again, being elevated up, reaching up. It's the one letter that reaches above the line in Hebrew. So aspiration and hope. And I affiliate it with the star card in the tarot. So there's something about greatness of hope and aspiration and greatness of heart that also comes in right now with our Gadol, our Lamed Gadol. Beneath that, we have the letter Zayin. And Zayin is about a sword or a scepter. So it's affiliated with sovereignty. And it is the number 7 in Gematria. It's down here. It's flipped over, but I'm going to turn it back this way. And so we've got 7, which is a lucky number, as you may know. It's representative of the 7th day of creation, which is Shabbat. So we have this desire for rest at the bottom. And Zayin is also affiliated with the indwelling presence of the divine feminine, the Shekhinah, who is said to be the Shabbat bride, the one who rules over the day of Shabbat and rest. So Zayin is here, bringing in great power, great sovereignty, and this sense of magic and luck that comes with the number 7. Also great rest at this time of year. If we're mammals, if we were living out in the wilderness and we were wild animals, we might be resting a lot, hibernating at this time of year. So maybe a great rest coming in with the Shabbat and the idea of 7. And yet power that comes with that, being able to grasp our own sovereignty, grasp that sword and scepter given to us by the divine, and particularly the divine feminine, the Shekhinah. So, great power. Great power is here for you right now with that Gadol, and also affiliated really closely with the heart. And then down at the bottom, in the center of our reading, we have the letter Tav. And Tav is the final letter of the alphabet. It looks like this when it's upright, and it's representative of a stamp or a seal. So some kind of stamp or a seal, a completion, is the end letter. Some say that the Tav is actually just the stamp or signature of the divine, that it's not actually the last letter, it's that that signature, the chop that one might put at the bottom of a piece of artwork. But here it is, our letter. This means completion, stamp, seal, signature, but also beginning again, because there is this idea that when things come to an end, they bring us back around to the top. So some kind of reincarnation or resurrection of some kind. And Tav is the binary transformation of sovereignty and slavery in the Sefer Yetzirah, which is the book of creation. And there's this continuum between what's seeming to be opposite, sovereignty and slavery. So bringing us back to the Zion, there's sovereignty here twice. And we can count it as a great sovereignty because, again, we're working with the letter Gimel over here with Gadol. So there's a great judgment, a great finality, the last letter of the word emet, meaning truth, some kind of, again, signature or stamp or seal. Something is being sealed here, and it's a great seal. So greatness is coming for you in the form of water, heart, sovereignty, and completion. Something very great is coming in this time of the year and at this time of the month. I want to pull out, I think of it, Tav. Tav also rules over the moon in the sky, so there's something maybe mysterious about it. We're not quite able to see what the greatness is yet. So I affiliate it with the moon card in tarot. So something coming from underneath that we don't quite grasp yet. So some great mystery, perhaps. And I want to do one more letter, but I think I'm going to do it by spinning the dreidel and seeing how that lands, and then we'll read that letter however it turns out to be. So let's see what your dreidel wants to tell you additionally today. And it's Gimel. Okay, so Gimel is Gadol, it's greatness. And it's also the number 3, which is that sense of stability. If something has got 3 legs like a stool, it's much more stable than 2 legs. And it's about walking forward. Gimel is said to be a foot or a camel. So we're walking forward and stepping forth into some forward movement. We're running perhaps even toward justice. The Gimel looks a little bit like a nun with a little heel on it. So nun is about humility, and the yud that makes up that little heel gives it propulsion forward. So when we're in a place of humility, if we have the divine with us, we can leap forward, running toward justice. And I say justice because Gimel also is affiliated with the planet Jupiter in the sky. It rules over the planet Jupiter, and Jupiter in Hebrew is tzedek, which means justice. So we're running toward justice. The number 3 is affiliated with those 3 mother letters of air, fire, and water. And we have the mother letter of water over here, as well as the wholeness and wickedness, the peace and evil binary transformation that comes with the knowledge of say in the garden, the tree of good and evil. So we have some kind of discernment and knowledge, again, with the Lamed here, being able to discern what is good and what is wicked, and then calling forth and running toward justice at this time. So, for those of you who chose the small dreidel with the gold leaf on it, we are being in this great time of emotion, water, cleansing. We are really relying on our big heart, our heart mind, to be able to discern what we need to know, grasping our great power, maybe taking some rest at this dark time of year, and knowing that there's some final completion that's coming in with a judgment that may be difficult to see with the moon, and also stamped and sealed for greatness, for moving forward, for running toward justice. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful Hanukkah, and I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Hello, dreidel number 3. This is your reading. We have the purple dreidel with the pink letters, and it is the letter Hey for the word Haya, which means happening or happened. In that phrase, Nes Gadol Haya Sham, it means that which is happening. So Hay is about what's coming into being. So that's what we're going to do our reading about today, is what is happening. Just a general, what's happening. Is it a miracle? Is it greatness? Is it happening here? Where is it happening? Our reading today will be about that happening that's happening for you. I'm going to set this off to the side, and we're going to do Hebrunes. We're going to shuffle them up and pull forth a handful and toss them down and see what we get today. Okay, let's take out all the Hebrunes that landed face down except that one, which I'll tell you why in a little minute. Okay, I have to back out so you can see everything that's on the reading. There we go. All right, we're going to start with at the top here. We have the letter Nun at the top. And as I said in the introduction, Nun is the letter that is one of the letters on the Dreidel, Nes Gadol Hayasham, Nes meaning miracle. So there's a miracle right at the top here. And that's what's happening, is the miracle of the oil. It's the miracle of the season. It's the miracle of the returning of the light after solstice. But Nun is also the letter that means humility. It's Ne'aman, which means humble. And so we're in a time of maybe prostration or bowing down. We have somebody who's kneeling with their head bowed. And it may be important to be in a position of humility in order to see the miracle that's about to come in. And that's the message I'm getting here right away, is what's happening is a miracle and humility that comes with it. That maybe it's time for us to bend our knee and have a little bit of hermit time in order to process what is happening and to understand the miracle as it comes in. Because sometimes miracles are a little bit harder to understand. So that's the first letter in your reading, is the Nun. Next, I'm going to go across to this letter, which is the blank. It's the Ein Sof. It looks like it's got a dot in the middle. That's just the pith of the wood. But it's a blank. I always put a blank in each of my Hebrew sets to represent the infinite, to represent that blank, void, the unknown, the substrate onto which all the letters are carved. So we have this unknown, this Ein Sof, that without end, that is representing the infinite potential for everything that can come into being. So what is happening? Everything is happening, and nothing is happening at the same time. There is this infinite potential for something to happen, and we need to pay attention to remain humble as we are contemplating the infinite at this time of year and the miracles that can occur in this time. So I love that we have the Ein Sof here right next to the Hay, which is about being present, and we got Hay smack in the middle. So Hay showing up twice in your reading with the Dreidel and with the letter Hay itself. Hay is the first letter of the word Hineni. Here I am, present and available for service. So in the middle of our reading is show up, be here, listen, pay attention, be a little humble, pay attention to the infinite, and be open to whatever is coming in. I love that Hay is right here in the center with the letter Hay also on the side. And going back over here, we have the Tzadi. Tzadi is the first letter of the word Tzadik, meaning righteousness, righteous person, and Tzedek, meaning justice. Tzadi looks a little bit like one of those bare trees in the winter with its branches up toward the sky. And it is the letter that is affiliated with the tribe of Asher, which means happy. But Asherah is the feminine divine that dwells within the trees. I love that we have Asherah here at our reading, telling us that this is another miracle that's happening, another thing that we can see happening right now. Even in the barrenness of this season, there are miracles happening under the ground. That even though the trees are bare, we have the knowledge that beneath the surface roots are setting, that buds are rising. And in the month of Shvat, which comes in about a month and a half from now, we get Tu B'Shvat, which is the birthday of the trees, and that is when the sap starts to rise. So the miracle that although things look dead right now, there is growth underneath the surface, and justice is coming as well. So there's a certain amount of gestation that's affiliated with the tzadi also. It's the number 90 in Gematria, so it has that 9, which represents the 9 months of gestation, times 10. So when some ultimate gestation is happening, so we may be feeling like we're waiting a lot, that there's not much happening. But again, beneath the surface, there's a lot going on. And that's an important thing to remember in the becoming that is happening with the Haya. Over on the far left, we have the Zayin. Zayin is a sword or a scepter, and it's the number 7 in Gematria. So it also corresponds to the feminine divine, the Shekhinah, the Shabbat bride. So we have the Asherah and the Shekhinah both here, these different aspects of the feminine divine. This one is about power and rest. And there's my random chime saying, yes, power and rest, both. 7 corresponds to the day of Shabbat, which is the last day of creation when the divine rested. Not because the divine requires rest, but because resting is a divine act. And we need to remember that in our time of becoming, in our time of waiting and being present, is that we have the need to rest, but also the right to rest. That one of the ways that we assert our power is by taking our rest when we need to. So this 7 here is calling in good luck, and also this sense of magic that comes with the number 7, the divine feminine, and rest with power. So that's over here on this side. And then way down at the bottom, we have the Shin. Shin is the mother letter of fire. And it represents also the Shekhinah. So the word Shekhinah begins with Shin. It means indwelling presence of the divine. And it tends to be perceived as a feminine person, if you want to gender your gods. So we have the divine here, the feminine divine here 3 times. The Shekhinah, the Asherah, and the Shabbat bride. Shekhinah is the indwelling presence of the divine, that divine spark that dwells within us. And this is the letter of fire. And we're in this time of fire within water, when the candles are being lit up right now at this time of Hanukkah. We're trying to keep ourselves warm and on fire during the cold, wet time of year in the Northern Hemisphere. It has to do with the wholeness of shalom and the return of the light in terms of Shuvah. So a lot of fire here, a lot of inspiration, again, indwelling inspiration, that spark that dwells within each of us. So what a beautiful reading for you today, with the humility and the miracle that's coming in, the infinite divine, the Asherah, and the justice that comes with Tzadi, remaining present, again, twice here in your reading, and the divine sovereign, the Shabbat bride, the Shekhinah, Shabbat rest, wrapped up in both of these letters twice. I'm going to do one more letter, and I'm going to do it by spinning your dreidel and seeing how that lands, and we'll read that letter however it turns out. And we have the Gimel. Gimel is the letter that means foot or camel, and it's about stepping forward. So we are setting out on a new journey at this time of year. And again, it brings us back to the sense of justice, because Gimel is affiliated with the planet Jupiter, which means, which is in Hebrew, tzedek, meaning justice. So back to the tzadi. So we're stepping forward. We're being given this inspiration by the divine to step forward and do the thing that we're supposed to do. Gimel is also representative of the word gadol within the dreidel, nes gadol meaning greatness. So we have greatness and stepping forward, and humility and power and presence, the infinite one, the trees, and the Shekhinah, all here for you today in your reading about Hanukkah. And I hope this has been interesting for you. Please feel free to like it and comment. I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Have a wonderful Hanukkah. Hello, dreidel number 4. This is your dreidel. We have the letter Shin. And as you know, Shin is the letter that represents being there. Neskadol Hayasham, a great miracle happened there. And there referring to Israel at the temple where this miracle happened. So I guess we're doing our reading today on what is there? What does that there-ness mean to you? Or maybe here-ness. Shin is the mother letter of fire, so we will take that into account as well. And that's my random chime saying, yes, let's take the Shin into account, the mother letter of fire. Fire, of course, being the candles that we're lighting up at this time of Hanukkah. So both the idea of what's happening there in the rededication of the temple and what that temple might mean to you. Is it the temple of your body? Is it the temple of your mind? Is it the time of year that we're in? Is it have something to do with the actual land of Israel, or just those of us who are wrestling with divinity in terms of the literal meaning of the word Israel, the ones who wrestle with the divine? Shin, we're talking about what's happening there, or here, or the fire. And we're going to do this reading by grabbing a handful of the Hebrunes from the bowl and tossing them down and seeing what shows up today. Let's see what we have for your reading today about there and fire. Whoa, I got a lot of them. Okay, first we're going to take out all the letters that ended up face down in our reading and read what's left. Okay, didn't end up to be so many after all. Great. So at the top of our reading we have the letter Kaf. Kaf is the letter that represents the palm of a hand. It could also be the sole of a foot, but since it's at the top of the reading, we're going to look at it in terms of a hand being sheltering over us, maybe the hand of the divine, and or lifting us up. It's also the letter that represents the sun in the sky. Kaf is said to rule over the sun in the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation. So we have the sun returning right now at this time of year in this northern hemisphere, as we're coming into just passed through the solstice. So the sun is returning. It's again still low on the horizon, but it is here for us. And Kaf is about being sheltered over and by the hand of the divine, but also give and take. What is it we're doing to extend our hand, both in terms of how are we asking for assistance when we need it, as well as giving assistance when it's requested of us. So there's a little bit of give and take here that comes with the Kaf. And that might be what's happening here. Are we supposed to give something? Are we supposed to receive something? How is it that we are showing up and allowing the divine to lift us up with their palm, as well as shelter us from any harm that may be coming our way? And just again, appreciating the sun, the Shin, with that fiery idea is the return of that light. How are we allowing that light to return into our lives right now? One of the things I did was I shined up my altar bowl, so that's really lit up today, and I appreciate that. To the little right of that, we have the letter Yud. Yud is the 1 point, the first dot that one makes when they're writing. It shows up in every single one of our letters. So it's a seed. It's the first letter of the divine name, the Yud He Vav He, which means the one who is becoming, constantly becoming. And it represents that concept of contraction, of the making of space, the idea of tzimtzum. The divine, when they existed before creation, needed to make space for creation to exist. And so they contracted themselves down into 1 point. And out of that, all of creation burst forth like the Big Bang. So we've got this potential for everything happening here or there with the Shin. This spark, this one tiny light that then bursts forth and becomes everything else. A seed can become a tree, and the tree can have fruit, and the fruit can have seeds, and it goes on infinitely. It can be a sperm. The idea, this is a foundation of sexuality as well. So there may be some kind of sperm that's being planted to grow an entire human right now. Or, again, some metaphorical sperm that is giving a seed or a spark to a new idea that's coming into your mind right now. Whatever that fire is that's lighting up inside you, this spark has showered down onto something flammable, and it's about to light up and become something new. And there goes that chime again saying, yep, that's the story. Next to that, we have the Aleph, and the Aleph is the first letter of the alphabet. It has that Yud above and that Yud below and that Vav between, and it is the mother letter of air. So air is necessary for fire, as you may know. And so air is here at the top of our reading saying, take a deep breath. Really learn to appreciate the air that's being given to us by the divine, and understand that there is divine above and divine below, and connection between, that we are this conductor between above and below, between the sky and the earth, between the heavens and the earth and the divine and the humanity. Aleph is the first letter of the word El, meaning God. It's the first letter of the word Adam, meaning human. So there's this connection between above and below. And it's that breath. The divine breathed into us so that we can be animate and alive. And we have this ability to continue to breathe as long as we can, and then we stop. But the divine is here with us and connecting us, and connecting with us, and connecting to us, and connecting us to above and below, and giving us that breath and spirit that keeps us going. So that's part of our fire, and our inspiration is the breath. And air, of course, is part of fire. I'm going to set that back here. And next to the shin, we have the letter Nun. Nun, which is also on the dreidel, representing Nes. Nes meaning miracle. It's also the first letter of the word Ne'aman, meaning humble. So we have this humility that comes with the Nun, somebody who is kneeling with their head bowed, putting ourselves in a bit of a prostration, perhaps in praise or thanks or contemplation, so that we can remain humble in order to see the miracle as it comes in. To be able to put ourselves in an appropriate place in connection with the divine, in connection with the power that comes with the sun and with fire, to know that we are not all-powerful, that we are humble. And when we become humble, we will see the miracles as they show up in our lives. So Nun is sitting here right next to the dreidel. Down on the lower left, we have the letter Chet. Chet is the first letter of the word Chai, meaning life. First letter of the word Choshek, meaning darkness. And the first letter of the word Chanukah, meaning rededication. So, yeah, we're showing up to rededicate ourselves, to rededicate our temple, to rededicate ourselves to the light and the spark of the divine as it shows up in us. It's about contracts and commitments. It looks a little bit like a marriage canopy, a chuppah. And it also has that connotation of the 8 days after a birth when a child might be named or circumcised, in that connection or contract with the divine, a dedication, a commitment that one makes to connection with divinity. So rededication, how are we rededicating ourselves? How are we showing up for life, for Chai? And in the darkness, even when it seems challenging, we have the ability to light that fire, that the shin is here reminding us that no matter where we go, the fire of the spark of the divine is within us, even in the darkest of times. So rededicate ourselves to that spark that's showing up here in the Yud and the Shin and the Aleph and all the letters. And down at the very bottom, we have the letter Lamed. Lamed is the letter that means heart, mind. I believe this has shown up in most of the readings today. Being able to reach up with hope, to understand that when a seed is planted, it will sprout up and root down. The Lamed is, again, Lev, heart, mind. So being able to discern what is what we'd like to take in and what we need to let go. Listening with our heart, mind to the divine. Also, limud v'lamed, learning and teaching. So we take in what we want to learn, we turn around and teach what's appropriate to teach. Lamed also represents the intestines in the body. And that also is a sort of discernment. Our bodies know when we take something in, whether it's healthy or not, and what to release and discard. So we can trust our gut, we can trust our kishkas and our heart mind. So this is another part of our listening into our inner spark, listening into that divine presence that is the Shekhinah, the indwelling presence of the divine, and trusting our guts, trusting to know that what we're doing is the right thing and that we are letting go of that which is not helping us. So Lamed here at the bottom as well. And I think this is a beautiful reading for those of you who chose this dreidel with the shin on it, that we have the sun returning, knowing that we can give and take and not overextend ourselves, but receive what we need to receive as well. The divine is here with that one point and that seed that's being planted, and the connection between above and below, with the Aleph, with the mother letter of air, taking time to breathe. Find ourselves in humility and be able to see the miracle that's coming in, and know that even in the darkness, we have life, we have the ability to rededicate ourselves and discern with our heart mind what is appropriate to take in and what to let go. I'm going to do one more letter, and the way I'm going to do this is by spinning the dreidel and see what lands, and we'll read whatever letter shows up. Nope, and it's the letter Nun, so we have Nun again, the miracle. So what else can I tell you about the Nun? It's humility and prostration. It's also the foundation of locomotion, so starting off slowly and moving with gradual momentum to pick ourselves up and eventually go forward full blast. It's about loyalty, remaining humble, but also remaining faithful. And just like the divine remains faithful to us, we need to remain faithful to the divine. In Aramaic, it can mean abundance. So again, miracle, but also it's fish. So abundance of fish. It's affiliated with the stomach in the body. So like the Lamed affiliated with the intestines, this is about digestion, taking stuff in and really chewing it up and contemplating, like I said with the Nun, taking time to sit in contemplation like a hermit. This is affiliated with the hermit card as well. So being appropriately bent over in a period of time so that we can discern appropriately what we need to do to go forward. And it's affiliated with the tribe of Manasseh. Manasseh, who is the first son of Joseph, but whose younger brother was raised above him. As this frequently happens in the Torah, the second son takes the place of this first son. So again, being humbled appropriately, not humiliated, but humbled so that the right thing can happen. So that, again, the miracle can happen. It's the number 50 in Gematria, so it has this sense of Jubilee, which is about freeing the slaves, being able to go free at the Jubilee year, and letting the land rest. So beautiful reading for those of you who chose this dreidel that had the shin to begin with, which again represents fire, and the Shekhinah, the indwelling presence, but also lends us back to a place of humility. So I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, you can like and subscribe, leave a comment if you would like, and I will look forward to seeing you here next time. Happy Hanukkah.